To today's lecture. My name is Amarshi from CapacityBay. Today's lecture is going to be on document body, or what I choose to call the body element. First thing first, we have to open up our VS Code. You can as well open up any editor of your choice and type in the following codes. One very important thing I would love to talk about is the difference between the block elements and the inline elements. Visual elements, once defined in the page body, can be generally classified into two categories, and they are the block elements and also the inline elements. Block elements, when positioned in the page, do not allow other elements next to them, whether to the left or to the right, while the inline elements instead can sit next to other inline elements. Another difference is that inline elements can be contained in block elements. The reverse is not the true, meaning that block elements cannot be contained or cannot be nested inside the inline elements. Under the block elements, we have tags like the p tag, the div, the heading, the list, and other things. And in inline elements, we have the anchor tag, the span, and also the image. And that is what we'll be talking about today. And we are going to start up with the paragraph element. Here is the p element, and we define the p element with the p tag. And in visual element and visual code, you can just type the letter p and then click on enter, and you can type in any sentence of your choice. You can say this. Like I said earlier, p is actually a block element. And now I want you to know something, that the browser will ignore all spaces and formats inside this element. Let me show you how that is going to work. You can see I gave some spaces and some things, some formats inside this. Now for us to view this, you would have to save this and go to where it's saved, double click on the HTML, and then it will open on your web browser. But here I'm going to show you this. I'm going to refresh this. You can see what I'm talking about. Although I put some spaces inside the VS Code, none of them is showing here. So this is what I mean. In the source code, the browser will ignore all the spaces and formats inside this p element. The next we'll be learning is the HR element. This HR element stands for horizontal rule. What this does is that it introduces a line or a semantic break in a document. We'll see how we'll see how our web browser will render it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So let's refresh our web browser and see what that does. You can see what the HR does. It draws a line here and demarcates the two elements. You can see it drew a line here to demarcate the two elements. And I want you to, it is actually important to note that the HR tag has only an opening tag and no closing tag. Unlike the p tag that we have the opening and closing, the HR only have one opening tag. Now for us to correct this anomaly where the browser ignores all the spaces and the formats, I will be introducing what we know as the pre-tag. The pre-tag is also known as the pre-format tag. So you can either put the pre-tag inside a p-tag. In that case, it is called HTML nesting. So let me do that briefly so you can see how that works. First I have to introduce another semantic break. Now you can see I'm putting this inside the p tag. So this is what is known as HTML nesting. So now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this sentence and paste it here. So let's see what that does on our web browser. So I'm going to refresh. You can see it gave me exactly what I have on the VS Code with the spaces and everything. So that is the work of the pre-tag. Please, I want you to know that the pre-tag also can stand on its own. So even without nesting it inside this pre-tag, the pre-tag can actually stand on its own. So I'm going to delete this so you will see how that works. So I'm going to go to my web browser. I'm going to refresh. You can see it came out the same way. So without even nesting it inside the P, it's still going to work. The next we'll be discussing is the break tag, which is donated by the BR. Click enter. And just like the horizontal root tag, the BR tag or the break tag requires no closing tag. So simply type BR and click enter. We can then introduce another paragraph tag and then click on lorem. Lorem is a short form that we can use to introduce a bulk of gibberish text into our HTML. Now please remember to always format your document so that it will always look better. You can see. So this is what we have. So let's view that on our browser and see what that does for us. Now see, the break tag has introduced a space between the pretext and the next block quote. So this is actually what the BR or the break tag does. It gives a space between what you have before and what we are having now. The next one we'll be discussing is the head tag, or the heading element. Basically there are 6 heading elements, each of which have sizes. So I'll be showing you each and every one of these tags. First I'll be showing you the H1 tag. I can just say this. So this is the various heading elements we have. We have from H1 down to H6. Now let me introduce a HR. So we'll view that on our web browser. Over here we have H1 to H6. Notice that with every head element, the size decreases. There is always a default font for every head element, but this can also be changed by using the style sheet. We'll be discussing that in subsequent classes, but I just want you to know that this is the H1 and this is what the H6 look like. The next we'll be discussing is the header element. We use the header element to enclose or contains items such as icons, navigation bars, or heading of web pages. There is normally used an introduction to our web pages, and inside the header we can have the nav bar, and the navigation we use the nav bar to hold the navigation bar. The nav bar is typically used to create the markup that defines the page navigation. So inside this nav bar we can add UL, which is unordered list, and we can also add OL, which is ordered list. UL unordered list, OL ordered list. So I'm going to show you how this looks like. So inside the UL, which is the unordered list, we are going to have LI. Now home, second LI, we're going to have. So I'm going to duplicate these 3 things also inside the OL, the ordered list tag. Now let's see how that looks in our web browser. Let's see how our web browser rendered it. Okay, now this is what we have here. This whole here is our navigation bar, and now inside the navigation bar we are having or unordered list and ordered list. Know the differences between these two. The unordered list has these pointers in them, while the ordered list have the numbering here. So if I'm going to add another one here now, it's going to be my number 4. So this is the main differences between these two lists. And this UL and OL is a type of the list we use or we have in our tag. The next we'll be discussing is the footer element, and this is what you normally find at the bottom of web pages. You can just type footer and hit enter. So inside the footer we are going to have and copy. Okay, so I'm going to do it CapacityBay 2021. So let's see how that renders on our web page. You can see it. This is what is going to give us this copyright CapacityBay 2021. So that is what the footer does. There's some other tags. Let me just quickly write them out and then explain them. These are some other tags that we have here. So I'm going to quickly refresh and see what that gave us. So the first one here, which is a strong tag, gave us this. The EM gave us this. The block quote gave us this. The B and I gave us this and this. And now you might actually be wondering what's the difference between the strong, the EM, the B and I. The difference lies in the semantic meaning. While B and I are a direct hint at the browser to make a piece of text bold or italic, strong and EM give the text a special meaning, and it's up to the browser to give the styling, which happens to be exactly the same as B and I by default, although you can actually change that using CSS. Now talking about the block quotes, this HTML tag is actually very useful and is used to insert citations in the text. Browsers by default apply a margin to this element. Chrome applies a 40 pixel left and right, and then a top pixel top and bottom. The last one I want us to talk about before we adjourn this class is the A tag, that is for link. So this is what it does. Links are normally defined using the A tag. The link destination is set via the href attribute. Now we are going to see how this renders on our website. You can see it's telling us to click here, and if I should click here now, it's going to take us to CapacityBay.org. This is where we'll come to the end of the class for today. Please follow us up for more subsequent videos and lectures, and we'll be talking about other tags, other body tags, other body elements as we do our teachings and our lectures. Please don't forget to leave a comment. If you have any question, please, you can kindly drop them. Leave a comment, like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.